Tonight is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk Counties, Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team.
Good evening. I'm Ken Eckhart, and here's what's happening. A police union official on Long Island says someone yelled gun moments before a Nassau County officer was killed in a friendly fire shooting. And now investigators are trying to determine who it was who yelled it. Nassau officer Jeffrey Breitkopf was fatally shot by an officer from the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Police Saturday night in Massapequa Park, just minutes after Nassau officers fatally shot a disturbed man who they say was waving a knife. The 40-year-old Breitkopf of Selden was arriving at the scene in plain clothes, in an unmarked car, after the first shooting, and had a rifle slung under his arm when he was killed. Authorities believe the MTA officer thought Breitkopf posed a threat and shot him after someone yelled gun. Officials say it's not clear whether Breitkopf identified himself as a cop or whether the MTA officer ordered Breitkopf to stop before shooting. A grand jury indictment was unsealed today in court in Riverhead in the case of a man charged in connection with the shooting death of another man in Holbrook late last year. Police say the victim, John Williams, was found shot to death in his car in front of his home on Geary Avenue back on October 14th. 33-year-old Reginald Ross of Yaphank was arrested 2 weeks ago by Suffolk County Police with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals Service, charged with second-degree murder. He reportedly was arrested in a car that has been connected to the shooting. A second assailant is also being sought. Budget cuts at the MTA have a lot of people worrying about the future of Long Island Bus. So riders recently appealed to the Nassau County Executive and the MTA to come up with the funding necessary to keep the buses rolling, as Jody Goldberg reports.
Long Island residents who don't have a car often rely on public transportation as a way to get around. Bus riders at the Rosa Park Transit Center in Hempstead say they're afraid of losing half the buses serving Nassau County.
Because a lot of us that don't own cars, the only means of getting to work is public transportation. And it would be a bad thing for them to cut, my bus on that line.
According to Nassau legislators, over 150,000 riders use Long Island Bus each year. And this resident says the thought of having her bus route cut is frightening.
I haven't got a raise in 2 years. And cost of living is going up, rent is going up, water is going up, light is going up, and we're not getting earning enough.
Legislator Abrahams is calling on County Executive Ed Mangano to address the shortfall of funding for bus services. He says it's not about the county or the MTA, it's the people who use the bus who will be affected the most.
We're talking about the seniors. We're talking about our young people. We're talking about our physically challenged. Every single person that doesn't have the ability to drive themselves needs that bus service to keep going.
And if the proposed bus cuts are enforced, this will greatly impact the riders who rely heavily on bus transportation.
You take away that bus stop, the able-ride passengers are not going to be able to get to where they need to go.
Legislator Judy Bodsworth says additional cutbacks will have a tremendous impact on the lives of physically and mentally challenged residents.
People who take Long Island Bus, for the most part, are not doing it because they don't feel like getting into their cars and driving. They go on Long Island Bus because that is the only means of transportation they have.
There will be an MTA hearing on the cuts on March 23rd. In Hempstead, Jody Goldberg, LI News Tonight.
Another Long Island parent is facing a felony charge for driving drunk with their child in the car with them. This latest arrest was yesterday afternoon in Wyandanch. Police say 40-year-old Victor Teal of Wyandanch was pulled over for a vehicle and traffic stop on North 11th Street. And that's when officers say they determined Teal was intoxicated. In the car with Teal was his 1-year-old son. Teal was arrested and charged with DWI, which is now a felony when there's a child less than 16-years-old inside the vehicle. The 1-year-old baby was released to a family member. Well, another series of remarkably clear surveillance shots of a Suffolk County bank being robbed. This time, it's the Wells Fargo Bank on Portion Road in Lake Ronkonkoma. Police say a little after 10 this morning, a man entered the bank and handed the teller a note, then demanded cash. The money was handed over, and the suspect fled in a dark-colored Mazda sedan. Police have released these surveillance shots of the robbery showing the suspect, who's described as Hispanic, in his early 20s, about 5 feet 7 inches tall, and wearing a New York Yankees hat. Police ask anyone with information about the suspect to call police Crime Stoppers at 1-800-220-TIPS. Some Nassau County lawmakers would like to ban motorists from lighting up if there are young people in the vehicle. And as Tara Evans reports, that would include anyone under the age of 18.
Protecting our children from secondhand smoke is as easy as ABC, or should be, according to legislators Judy Bosworth and Judy Jacobs. That's why they say they've introduced a bill to ban smoking in cars where at least one passenger is under 18. The law would make smoking with a minor present punishable by up to $1,000. They say the effects of secondhand smoke on kids' health are very dangerous, and Dr. Sheetal Shah says he agrees.
We live in a country, and particularly in a county, where asthma is the most common chronic disease of childhood.
If a child is in an enclosed car with secondhand smoke, they have 100% more chance of having an asthma attack than if they're not.
They don't think there's any harm. They open their window a crack, think everything's fine because the smoke's going there. It's not.
Children breathe in more environmental pathogens or more environmental pollutants than adults do, simply because their lungs are smaller.
The most important issues concerning children and secondhand smoke are the ABCs: asthma, bronchitis, and cancer. So what they say this bill is really about is protecting our children.
This law is not being proposed to impose another fine on people.
The important part of this is to raise consciousness so that parents actually understand the harm that they're doing with their children if they do smoke in cars.
Lawmakers say although this bill was proposed last fall, the presiding officer has yet to put it on the calendar because of an earlier statewide proposal. They say they're hoping with added support the bill will finally be placed on the calendar and pass.
There's no reason this has been sitting in the clerk's office since April.
And we think that the children of Nassau County deserve better than that.
In Mineola, Tara Evans, LI News Tonight.
It was a down day on Wall Street today. The Dow dropped 137 3/4 points. NASDAQ was down 33 2/3 points. And the S&P was down 14.5 points. NYIT's LI News Tonight continues after this.
The 10th annual Chefs for Children Food and Wine Tasting helps raise money for children with language and autism disorders at Jericho Terrace in Mineola on Wednesday, March 23rd at 6:30 p.m. For more information, call 516-609-2000, extension 214. Nassau Community College presents Cabaret based on the 1998 revival of the musical in Garden City, Wednesday, March 23rd through Saturday, March 26th at 8 p.m. and Sunday, March 27th at 3 p.m. For more information, call 516-572-7676. People in 128 countries will be taking part in Earth Hour this year by switching off their lights in celebration of Mother Earth on Saturday, March 26th at 8:30 p.m. For more information, log on to www.earthhour.org. Or take the kids to see Let's Have a Bite, a banquet of beastly rhymes at Nassau County Museum of Art in Roslyn Harbor, Tuesday to Sunday from 12 to 4:30 p.m. through May 8th. For more information, call 516-484-9337. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight@nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
In headlines around the world, Japanese authorities today were telling people to remain calm, but warning those near a crippled nuclear plant to seal themselves indoors. Officials say a fire in a storage pond for spent fuel at the plant's Unit 4 reactor released radioactivity directly into the atmosphere. The fire was put out and radiation levels dropped, but officials say the water in the reactor might still be boiling, and they're asking the U.S. and Japanese military to help by having helicopters spray water on it. Experts say the radiation appears to have been in steam produced by the boiling water and was not emitted directly by the fuel rods, which would have been far more dangerous. Meanwhile, officials have confirmed about 3,300 deaths in the earthquake and tsunami that struck Friday, but experts say there's no question that the toll is far higher. Officials have estimated that at least 10,000 were killed in one state alone. Witnesses say Muammar Gaddafi's forces have captured Zawiya, the last rebel-held city west of Tripoli, to fall back under government control. Today's victory solidifies Gaddafi's hold on the western stretch of coastline from the capital to the Tunisian border, even as the Libyan leader advances against rebels in their eastern strongholds. Gunfire could be heard on the telephone today as army troops celebrated, but rebels promised to regroup and fight back. Zawiya was one of the first towns seized by the rebels as they made gains early in the month-long uprising against Gaddafi's rule. And a Saudi soldier who was part of the troops sent to Bahrain to help the tiny island nation deal with the Shiite-led opposition uprising has been shot dead by a protester in the capital, Manama. The shooting happened today when someone in the crowd of protesters shot at the Saudi troops. A 3-month state of emergency has been declared in Bahrain to try to end the political unrest that threatens the monarchy. About 1,000 troops from Saudi Arabia and other members of the Gulf Cooperation Council arrived in Bahrain yesterday. Aflac has fired comedian Gilbert Gottfried, who is the voice of the insurer's quacking duck in the United States. Gottfried has voiced the duck in numerous commercials for over the past 10 years. Gottfried reportedly posted a string of mocking jokes about the earthquake and tsunami in Japan on Twitter over the weekend. Aflac, which reportedly does 75% of its business in Japan, says the jokes do not represent the feelings of the company, adding there is no place for anything but compassion and concern during these difficult times. The insurer says it will start a casting search for a replacement. In the wake of the earthquake and tsunami disaster in Japan, the local Red Cross wants to remind people the importance of knowing CPR. According to the Red Cross, recent emergencies like that in Japan and the shooting of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords in Arizona are reminders that the public should be prepared for emergencies that can happen at home, office, or school. So this Saturday, free CPR and first aid training will be held in Nassau and Suffolk counties. In Nassau County, the free training will be offered at the Winthrop Community Center in Mineola, and in Suffolk County at Hauppauge High School in Hauppauge. Well, we had a mix of sun and clouds today. Today's high was in the low 50s. Tonight, rain is expected late with a low in the upper 30s. Tomorrow, morning rain with a high in the mid 50s. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high around 60. Friday, partly cloudy with a high up into the mid 60s near 70. And the outlook for Saturday, partly cloudy with a high around 60 degrees. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Ken Eckhart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time. Have a good night.